Today we are going to continue working on our standard OA.1.3, which is being able to solve multi-step word problem using all operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We are going to continue with numberless word problems. The other day we started with numberless word problems with only one step in it, but now we're going to go to numberless word problems with multi-steps. So all of these have either 2 to 3 steps in each. So I'm going to start with this one. This one says, a florist is collecting flowers for a dinner party and wedding. He has blank boxes of roses. Each box has blank roses in it. If he needs to use blank roses for the dinner party, how many roses will the florist have left for the wedding? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to circle, underline, box, or star any information that is important. Or I could also call this annotating the word problem, just as if like you do in reading. So the florist is collecting flowers for the dinner party and wedding. He uses blank number of boxes of roses, and each of the boxes has blank roses in it. I find both of those things important, so I circle them. And then I'm also going to circle how many roses he uses for the dinner party, and I'm going to draw a little arrow from dinner party to that number, so I know that's from the dinner party. And I'm going to, it says how many roses will the florist have left to use for the wedding. I'm going to underline left to use for the wedding because that's what I'm trying to find out. So we're in the understand step first. So I first need to understand the problem by asking myself, what do I already know? So I already know that the florist is using some flowers for a wedding and a dinner party. All right, the next one is what do you need to find out? So when I see this step, I want to go back into my question and reread it. So it says, if he needs to use blank roses for the dinner party, how many roses would the florist have left to use for the wedding? So I want to know, excuse me, how many will be left for the wedding? Now our representation is going to be just a picture for now. So we're going to draw some type of picture that shows this. So I'm going to stick with my tape diagram and I'm going to draw a rectangle. And this will represent all of the roses. Then I'm going to break it up into some boxes. So this will be total flowers. Then these are going to be the boxes. And then I'm going to break another piece off. I'm going to say maybe these ones with X's in them is what he's going to use for the dinner party. And then I'm going to say, put a question here for left for the wedding. Okay, so I know that I have some boxes of flowers. They have some flowers in it each. I'm looking for the total amount of flowers and then to see how many we need for the dinner party and how many will be left for the wedding. So now I'm going to try to figure out some key math actions we need to solve this problem. So I'm going to go back and reread the problem and look at my picture to see what key math actions I might need to use for this problem. So it says a florist is collecting flowers for a dinner party and a wedding. He uses blank boxes of roses. Each box has blank roses in it. So that's my first part. I'm going to stop. So if he has so many boxes of roses and the roses have so many in each, that tells me I probably need to multiply. For example, if there was 4 boxes of roses and there is 10 roses in each, I could say 4 times 10 would give me the total number of roses. So my first step would be to multiply. I'm going to continue reading to see what my next step will be. If he needs to use blank roses for the dinner party, how many roses will he have left for the wedding? So now I'm more so looking at it in a number bond way. So this is the total amount of roses he has. We know how many he uses for the dinner party, and we want to find out how many he uses for the wedding. So if I have my whole and I have a part of the whole, and whoops, sorry, the lights went out. Silly automatic lights. So I have my whole total amount of roses, and I have a part, and I'm looking for the other part. That means I will have to subtract. So I'm separating these two parts to find it. So lastly, I'm going to explain how I will solve this problem. So to solve this problem, I will multiply the number of boxes. I'm going to abbreviate number of the hashtag right there because that also means number, by how many in each. I could say how many roses in each, or how many roses in each, because the first thing I'm going to do is multiply. Then after I multiply, I need to subtract the product by how many flowers he needs for the wedding. Or sorry, how many flowers he used for the dinner party. And this will tell me how many flowers will be left for the wedding. Okay, so now let's review this. So the first step was that I circled, underlined, boxed, or annotated important information in the text. I reread the text more than once. Then I found out what I already know, and that's just a brief summary. So this is kind of like reading. We really need to annotate the text. We need to understand the text, and lastly, we really need to know what we're looking for. So what we were looking for was how many flowers would be left for the wedding. For my representation, I would draw a picture. I would draw it however I see fit. So your picture does not have to look the same as mine. You'll see a lot of tape diagrams on iReady and different strategies. So this is just a strategy that I would like you guys to see and be familiar with, but that's not the picture that you have to draw. I also very much like number bonds as well, because that shows us that we're going to be either adding or subtracting, and if we need to add or subtract to be able to find the total. Lastly, when you get down to the solve part, you should type out now, since these are multi-step, you should type at least 2 sentences, because one sentence will be the first step, the second sentence will be the second step, and then you might even need a third sentence for the third step. Students at home, yours will look a little bit differently because it's online, so you won't have this represent and this key math actions placed on your paper on the slides. So all you'll have to do is get out your notebook and you'll put represent and you'll draw a picture for whatever number it is up top. And same with the key math actions. You could just tell us the 2 or 3 key math actions you will be using to solve your problem. One last thing I would like to mention, down here in my solve, I use the word product. The word product in this instant is a math vocabulary word referring back to the answer I got from my multiplication. So the answer to a multiplication sentence is the product. So when I use that word, that's not talking about like a product of like how many, about flowers. It's talking about the product, which is the answer to the multiplication sentence. So when you are writing these things, it's really important to try to use proper math vocabulary and use it when you can.